So I'm gonna just double check and make sure it's started. Okay. So whenever you start a game, you always want to be thinking about your win conditions. And I like going over this with every game, and this helps you decide what items you need to build because every different team comp has a different role. So whenever you're still in queue, you need to start thinking about what your win conditions are. And even though from what I saw you only play Zilean, you could still build him differently, and you said that's one of your problems. So we're going to be talking a little bit about why I decided your build. So if you look at our team comp, we have Anivia, who has a great amount of wave clear, Caitlyn, who has pretty great siege, you, who can basically make any of us unassassinatable. You're a guardian angel, you know that. This is Zilean, typical thing. And then we have a split push of Yasuo and assassin Rengar. That's our team, right? Yeah, it makes sense. But mid game, what our team's going to want to do is we're going to have a Yasuo off to the side, an Anivia wave clearing, and then either we're going to be sieging and Rengar is going to be looking for a pick between where Yasuo is splitting or where we are pushing mid. And the great part about this team comp is we have siege with Caitlyn, we have anti-siege with Anivia, we have pick with Rengar, and we have split push with Yasuo. This is a really great team comp. It doesn't look like it on the surface because we don't have a tank, but it does its job very well. But for this to work, our win condition is Anivia having enough mana, staying alive, and being able to wave clear, and Yasuo being able to split push. If neither of those happen, we're unable to stall, and we lose our win condition. So you as Zilean can't do too much to be helping either of those things, because, you know, as a support, all you can really do is not feed at this stage of the game, which isn't really something good to say. But mid-game, it changes a lot, because you could be doing a lot to support the Anivia wave clear and support the Yasuo in ways different from just following me bot lane. The game kind of changes. So their team comp. They have a Veigar, Master Yi, and a lot of other things that basically means it's going to fuck your carries. So as Zilean, you want to be thinking about how you can keep yourself able to ult people, and how you can keep yourself alive, and what you can do to support your team. Obvious stuff. Well, you can probably stay out of range of all of their crowd control. So the only crowd control really that they have is Veigar for you. And you can probably get away with never getting hit by his stun. Probably. The Master Yi is something that was a big threat to you because he can auto-attack you to death and he can dodge your bombs with his Q. So this game, you don't have to worry about Merc Treads, but I would be looking at Ninja Tabi specifically because of the Yi and specifically because of the Jinx. Both of those things are really strong against you. If I wouldn't get Ninja Tabi this game, I would get Sword Shoes. I don't think that you should be rushing Mobies every game. It's not a very good idea. But since you took Bond of Stone, that also changes the way we can play this game. So, I'm going to just start playing through because I'm almost done. Your job, what you should be thinking about this game, is how to keep everyone alive, and since the Veigar got fed, that's going to be Locket. How to help us do a lot of damage, since you have Bond of Stone, that's going to be rushing Arden. So Locket and Arden are key because you have your Bond of Stone. Locket's going to give you more shields to activate Arden. And Locket's also going to make it so you can help people survive a Veigar Burst with its extra resists and shield, and a Master Yi with its shield. So those are very important items. Now, those are in no particular, like... Arden you want to rush, but like shoes, your gold gen item, a lot of other things like that, you just gotta fit in somewhere. So it doesn't matter if you delay it a little bit to get your Sightstone at some point. You don't have to get Locket before you get Sightstone. You know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that those are items that are your core this game. Now it's always good to get your core early, but I'm not saying Sightstone is core, but Sightstone is core. So, whenever we're in lane, I know I took shitty masteries and runes, and you're actually really good at landing your Qs this game. I didn't tell you much during the game, but you land some really nice Qs. Your Zilean mechanics when it comes to landing skill shots are really good. That means you know where people want to walk, but you just got to bring that to a larger sense. Because you were asking me about how did I know the Vigar was going to show up mid later on this game, and that's the larger sense of knowing where people are going to be. You do it really well on a small scale, you just got to do it on a larger scale. So your lane, you land these Qs, and you say you don't know what to do whenever people shield. Now, shields have a cooldown just like your Q, so then it falls down to someone else to take advantage of the window you create. That's why I'm able to get damage down. Otherwise, Karma would have just shielded all that. So, right there, this damage that's on Karma, that's your Q. You didn't do any damage with your Q because she shielded it, but I was able to do all of that damage because of your Q. Ignore my health. I was a little bit over aggro, but this is you. It's not, whenever they shield your Q because it's going to do damage, but they just can take damage from something else. So you're still doing that right. I notice you don't try and double bomb it all early. I don't know if you didn't level it, but you're still doing fine. And I know in my in-game I gave you a mini lesson on this, but I'll give you a lesson on it in this recap as well. So you know where the jungler is going to be by a typical clear path, and the clear path is about 3-ish minutes the jungler is on this buff, and 3.5 minutes they're looking to gank. 3 minutes is whenever you should already have your ward out if you're playing top, and it's whenever you should already start playing safe if you're playing mid. There are junglers that can cheese you, and this is a standard optimal clear. It's not something that's going to happen every game, but it's what's going to happen most games. And you only need to win over 50% of your games to climb. So it's good to predict this because it's going to help you win most of your games. So what do we know after that? We know the jungler is going to be up here, and Rengar is demonstrating this. And since we have this fight, and he doesn't get his buff, and we have it warded, all of that lets us know that Master Yi is not going to be bottom for a very long time. So you can use your wards for something else. And I start showing you like when I think it's smart to ward. And a lot of that comes down with lane control. Now, for some reason, we're able to shove it in constantly. We really shouldn't be able to shove this in. Not with what I'm running and their lane having much more push. This is a pretty weird lane. But we saw up here, if you were watching the map. Let's see. Yeah, see that? See that? Do you know what that means? That means Master Yi is over here. And since we knew Master Yi was on the opposite side of the map, look, there's even confirmation. Master Yi is on the opposite side of the map. It means you don't need to ward just yet, but it means it's safe to ward. So what is Master Yi going to do after he does this camp? Right? He just took Scuttle over here. He's either going to recall, and he's going to continue his route, or he's going to look for ganks. And if he recalls and continues his route, he's probably going to end up bottom. So, with his vision right here, right? Look where he is, and look what we're going to see. And because of that, we know we have to play safe because he can come down bottom, right? We knew it was a safe time to ward. Doesn't mean he was there. Because we knew he wasn't there, but we knew he was going to be there. Right? So that's how we knew. You have to know when it's smart to ward, otherwise you'll just die trying to do this. This is not something you do every game. This is something you do when you know it's safe. We saw on the map the vision pop. We saw Master Yi over here. So we knew we had enough time. I even took the sights thing before I went up and did this. So we knew it was safe. We had minion control, so they couldn't chase us down river. All of those are key. Mid lane's still there. Everything is key. This is not something you do every game, but it is something that you do when you can. And then we see Master Yi's mid, so we know we can start playing up a little more. And I tell you that this actually isn't the best time to recall. You do want to recall on a cannon wave, and I did have a lot of money, but look how fast they're able to push this in, and we actually do end up losing quite a bit. Um, yeah, see, like I'm only in time for like 2 of those, so we probably should have stayed a little longer. Um, I think we do make them lose some of this though in response. Yeah, I think they lost like 1. Meh. I was just really trying to get items because my fuck up with runes and stuff. So let's see. Nah, okay, that's fine. I would be upgrading your gold item before I went for the amp tome, but that's minor. All right, and I think this is an example of you staying a little too long. All right, so I told you you wanted to try and get your stuns off, but let's look at what you do here, right? Do you see what you already gotten it? You don't have Thunderlords, but you walk up as if you're going to get a Thunderlords proc. So you're not aware of the mastery you're running, and you just took all of that damage for no reason. You got your double bomb off, and you could have just walked away. But instead, you lost that trade. So in this situation, you're not paying attention to cooldowns, because she still had everything and was going to come out of stun. And you're not paying attention to waves. You're not paying attention to where I am. You saw your window of, I just stunned him. Which, good. But we weren't going to win that. You see this? If we fought by chasing these minions would do probably 200 damage to us. We'd lose this fight. Doesn't matter how close we are to the turret. So what you're doing here is you're just getting poke. And look, you're taking... I think you took a little bit of minion aggro. I think that's what happens here. Did you? Hardly any. It was mostly the Jinx. But, yeah, you don't want to be taking stuff like in the minion wave, past their carry, where I can't help you. Got to be watching the positioning of your carry. You got to watch their cooldowns and take smart trades. Just stopping with the double Q was all you needed to do. And, I mean, Double R. Yeah, I know. And then I mess up. Alright, let's see. Hmm. So right here, I notice you recall, because you see me recalling, and you just take the Q. But you don't have money for really anything. Now, if you want to think about what you could have done, you could have stayed in lane, and you could have auto-attacked the turret, and you could have gotten some experience. Minor things. But there was no reason for you really to recall. I know that you got a pink ward, and I know I commented that it's good to have an extra pink ward in your inventory and stuff like that. But we didn't get any use out of this. I don't think. Actually, yeah, I guess we did. Never mind. And I know you mentioned in your little like summary on the request form that like you didn't ult soon enough. So in a little like mini lesson here as well, we'll talk about ulting. So you need to be paying attention to cooldowns, and you need to be expecting expecting damage. So right here, cooldowns. He still has Q. He has his E up, and he's ulting. So what this probably means is in like 2 seconds, he can do 300 damage to you. It's roughly what it is. And if he kills you, he can kill me. If he kills me, he can kill you. That's the gist of this. So you need to keep whoever he's going to Q onto alive. And all of that, You see, what happens here, Jinx even gets her W off. So all of that was really telegraphed. Jinx's W does 100 some damage. Master Yi can do 300 in 2 seconds. You had 500 health. You definitely should have been able to ult there. And okay, that's a good thing to look at too. I just saw you run around the map not knowing where to go. So as soon as you respawn, look what you do. So now let me explain to you what my thought process was as the AD carry, so that way you can kind of be on the same page as me. So you need to be watching the waves. Right here, Veigar is pushing mid. Anivia is currently bottom by herself. So you have two options. You either go and support the Anivia, which by the looks of it, she's recalling. Or you go and support me trying to fight the Veigar and keep mid. So those are your two options. So from right here, once I see Anivia looking like she's going to recall, she's walking away, you're already made up to just one decision. But really, you only had one option to begin with. Because Veigar can one-shot me. We saw that happen many times this game. So you had to be mid. It didn't really matter what Anivia was doing. You had to be mid. You had to come with me. So you weren't paying attention to where I was, and then once you realize what I'm doing, you're like, oh fuck, Anivia isn't my carry, and then you start walking middle. But then I'm walking away. And then you kind of are like, well, I guess we're going bottom now. But that's because we're swapping back, and now we're, we're back in the same spot. We're together again, right? So you're finally back to me, but you missed out on a wave of experience. This is how you get under-leveled as a support, and I know that you're Zilean, so this isn't really a good game to, or any game would be a good example. You're always going to be under-leveled, your AD carry, because Zilean. But a wave of minions on a losing game is a lot. You can be like 4 levels behind, and you need to know when to catch these waves. So you need to make sure you come to me to catch this wave with me, and then come with me to catch these waves with me. You could have also gone bottom with the Anivia, but you wanted to be there for when Veigar could have one-shot me. That was the biggest thing. And let's see. And last time you were at base, you didn't buy anything. I think you should have had money to upgrade your gold item or something. You should have. And you also have 2 trinkets. Oh, that's another interesting thing. I don't know a very good time to ward around here, though. I might have warded somewhere around here, because the Veigar could have walked down. But that's not something you would have been able to do super soon. You did a really good job ulting there and stuff. That was a good fight. Unfortunately, that means I don't need to recap it. And here's me being a dumbass. See, like, there you go. That's Diamond 4. And I tell you, you need to leave here. And it's really obvious because you don't have ult. They have a speed up and they have a stun. Right? And Veigar one-shot me, so he can also one-shot you. There's no reason for you to stay here either. This is, you know how I was saying you need to catch some waves? Well, you're going to lose this tower with you here or not. The only thing different is you could die or you can get a third of a level. So leave. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. And you come mid and you catch the wave, and then we come bottom and we catch the wave. And here's whenever I start telling you to set up for me. But it's really not to set up for me, it's to set up for the team. At this point in the game, we've lost bot, we've lost mid, and look at the goal difference. We win this game, by the way. We win this game, and we're 5k behind. So what is our way back into this game? Well, you need to make sure that I can split push bottom safely and continuously rotate mid. So that means that we're not going to push this all the way up to turret. We're going to stop about here. So what you need to be worried about as Zilean, as support, is making sure that they can't rotate to me. So that's keeping a ward somewhere in here to see the rotation between mid here and bottom. And keeping a ward somewhere around here or here to see most of the other rotations. All three of these would be ideal. Actually, the third one it'd be ideal if it was like around dragon, but that's minor. And all this does is I'll show you what I end up doing, right? I don't push all the way up. I can't. And then we end up dying, but I guess I'll get a better example later. But like I push this up and then we leave. See we leave. We leave. We don't stay there. But look what we're doing with a prime threat. 7-kill Vigar is bottom dealing with this wave that we just pushed up. And we saw Yi coming down over here because of the blue trinket that I put down, so we knew to get away. These are your wards that you should be focusing on. And you should ping the fuck out of your carry if they try and get up here, like fall back. Like seriously, like don't let them go to turret. So what are we doing? We're just trying to keep this wave pushed up, and I really misjudge Vigar damage. And I'll just remind you, this is Diamond 4. So, like, I make a lot of mistakes. But, you know, there's other ways to come back into games. You got to make smart decisions. I haven't made a lot of smart decisions this game, but we do start making smart decisions. So, we'll get into some of those. But this is one of those words that I was talking about that helps rotate between mid. And this is the reason why we do this, to rotate between bottom and mid. And once I see a lot of people getting around here, we're not actually looking for the fights too much. If we get lucky with a Nivea Q, we can. But our goal right here, as you and me, is not to take this tower. It's to make it so that way we have a lot of people here, or we make it so people leave. Right? This is our split push win condition. Rengar's doing his job for our win condition. Yasuo's doing his job for our win condition. So the three of us are doing our job. Remember how I said early on, this is our anti-siege Anivia? Anivia is doing her job right here. And I'm kind of helping and you're kind of helping, just because we don't want them to engage on the Anivia. This is part of our win condition. Sitting and making it so they can't push. But it's not just sitting in a lane. Because this is what we did earlier. We set up a slow push bottom. So look at Vigar. Vigar responds to this. And once Vigar responds to this, we can take mid. Right? And I told you to ward over here. And the reason that I knew he was coming over here is I was watching the map and I saw he only took one wave, so he was going to walk up this way. Now in your average game, I would only ward over like this. I wouldn't actually walk over there. I'd be pretty afraid. And what I'd do is I would then walk up top lane and take this turret. I wouldn't be looking to try and fight Vigar. And you got hardcore trolled. But they end up taking this turret anyways, so that's why we don't rotate top. But that's exactly what we wanted. We created pressure mid lane, so our win condition can take effect. So what do you do as Zilean here, right? You have two trinkets, right? Two trinkets, and we have people up here, and we have people here, and you know what? We have Baron up. You gotta ward Baron. At this point in the game, this is breadcrumb rewards at its finest. We just got this far to their base, right? And we're going to leave soon. You have 2 wards. And you have Sightstone 2 wards. You have 4 wards. You got to use those. So at this point in the game, you got to get those wards out. Don't bother following me here. Ward Baron. And I tell you later on, you got to go just ward Baron. But you need to be doing that at this point in the game too. Because I don't need you down here. You're catching a wave with me, yes, and that is important, yes. But, this is 300 gold for everyone, and it's also, like, free turrets, and it's a win condition. Baron's really important. And you know how much longer it would have taken you to walk over here, drop a ward, and then walk bottom? 10 seconds, maybe. It would have been no big deal to do this. Even if all it meant was you warded right here, it would have been game-changing. It could have been game-changing. Make sure you ward. If you're playing support and you got ward still in your inventory, whenever you're leaving something this important, you fucking drop them. You cannot be leaving important areas like this with wards in your inventory. Especially whenever you're just going to catch waves. And right here, I planned on just leaving, but then we started looking for this fight, so then we started walking back up, and then we were like, okay, yeah, never mind, leave. So this is backing away from a fight that we're pretty sure we're going to lose. And that's just because, well, 1, 2. Those are 2 reasons why we'd lose that fight. So you know what? We just walk away. Really easy. And we didn't need any extra vision for that or anything else. Just walk away. Ping back and walk away. As support, sometimes you start following your AD carry blindly. I'm not talking you specifically. I'm just talking a traditional support habit. Ping. If you think you deserve to climb, that means your decision making is probably better than the people you're playing with, which means you need to lead them. You lead with pings. Ping. Alright, and I start telling you a couple of different places to ward. I tell you ward up there, and I tell you to ward up here because, well, this is a blue ward. It's going to die soon, because if they walk through, it's going to die. And I want to make sure that our jungle up here is safe for me to keep pushing this out and rotating mid. And Anivia pushes it out, so that's why I dance between this, because I don't know if she's going to keep pushing it or not. And our only goal is to get this wave slow pushing, so they have to respond to it, and to go mid. Because then we can work on our win condition. Our win condition is the 3 of us, Yasuo splitting, and Rengar somewhere in the middle. That's our win condition. So we got to play to it. Get this slow pushing so we can group. Now we're grouping, and I tell you that we're going to fight this. Well, why do I tell you that we're going to fight this? And what should you be thinking about in a normal game? Well, it all comes down to watching the map. So it starts way back here. So no one's in this wave. What that means is they recalled. Veigar's mid, and we see him go... Okay, so we see people here, right? They left that wave. We knew they left that wave. They didn't recall, but they left that wave. They weren't going to push it anymore. We didn't see them on the wave. They were going to leave it. So look mid. We see 3 people mid. And we just saw the Jinx. Yeah, the Jinx. And we have this ward that you put earlier. I would have put it further this way, like towards the end. And where is it? Where is it? See this? This is where I make up my mind. We're going to split bottom once I see the Mordekaiser going bottom. And this is not really towards our win condition, but this is knowing what the enemy team is going to do. So now we're going to make a prediction here. So we just saw the Jinx mid, the Veigar mid, the Yi mid, and the Mordekaiser. And Mordekaiser just went bottom. So they have 2 options. Well, they could push mid, or they could respond to the Yasuo, and I guess a third option is they could do Baron. That is a very, very possible third option. But what can we do to help our team here? If we sit mid, we're probably not going to get anything mid if they're still mid. And the Mordekaiser was going bottom, which means he was going to start pushing this up and creating a lot of pressure. So we knew that the Mordekaiser was going to be creating pressure here. and we had a lot of pressure top lane, and we probably weren't going to get anything middle. So what can we do as our team to be winning this? And what can they do as their team? Well, if I was their team, I'd be responding to the Yasuo. So I knew that if their team was going to respond to the Yasuo, we had the advantage up here still because Rengar was up here. They weren't going to be able to push middle because we had a Nivea middle. So our two conditions over here are set. What can we do then? Well, we can push bottom, or you could ward around here-ish once it gets a little bit safer. I wouldn't do it immediately, but like, yeah, once I saw this, I would have warded around here. And then once we see this, look at how I start playing. And do you know why I'm this aggro? Because everyone was on the other end of the map. The only thing that I could have done differently if I was you is I would have warded Baron. But, you know, I told you to come bottom with me, so obviously I would have gone bottom, but, you know, this would have been a good option too. So what did we do in this time? Well, they weren't able to get anything up here, and we weren't able to get anything middle, but we were able to get something bottom. So what I was doing is I was thinking about what I could do with the current pressure that we had and where I thought the enemy was going to be. They were going to be top lane responding to the Yasuo, and they weren't able to get anything middle because of Nivea, right? So we go bottom. Take this turn. And now we walk. I'm hoping to flank them, and we don't get it. And then I walk back bottom, and I almost die. And let's see. What have you done? Where are you? You're up here? Let's see. Yeah, at this point in the game, I tell you to go ward Baron. And this is why. Do you see how easy it is to take Baron? These dudes are both full damage. And then you walk away whenever you could have ulted this guy. Could you have? Oh my gosh. Ult him. Just help out to take Baron. You don't need to walk away and ward. They're doing Baron. Do Baron with them. And I know you were setting up to make it safe, maybe? Maybe? They already had set up for it. You should have just ulted the Rengar. But that shows you how easy it is to take Baron, and this could have been you. This could have been your ward. You could have set up for it. So that's what you want to do at this stage of the game. Set up for Baron, do exactly that, take Baron. And now look at the gold. We're in the lead now. This is from rotations, and you know, we're lucky we had the winning top laner. We're lucky we had the winning jungle. But you know, bot lanes can carry games too, and we made it so that they couldn't. We made it so the Veigar couldn't. And let's see. You really gotta work on warding more. You have wards in your inventory a lot. Okay. And at this point of the game, the only thing we really could do is go top. It's a pretty obvious choice, but then people die. And this happens too often in solo queue. And, you know, often enough it's me. You know, it's Diamond 4 too. It happens everywhere. This is why I'm telling you the only elo I consider high elo is pro elo, because people are dumbasses at every elo. But what do you do when your team dies like this? Honestly, you just wait for them to respawn. You have to. Otherwise, you do exactly what they did. You walk into their jungle or whatever, and you die, and then you're just giving the enemy team room to come back. So you just gotta wait for them to respawn. And you kind of do that, but you just sit mid. Now, let's talk about problems with this. And I'll tell you the main problem. If your team's doing this, the worst thing that you can do is leave them split. Plus, you want to know what else? Your problem's here. Wards. You can ward this. And if you ward this, it makes the Anivia safe when being a dumbass. So, it makes this decision actually smart. And I had to tell you to put this ward down. And really, really, you do need to be thinking about warding a lot more. It's something that I'm become a lot more aware of when pressing tab and looking at your inventory this game. You didn't buy the sweeper, even though I reminded you twice, and you didn't put wards down. You had 2 trinkets in your inventory for probably like 10 minutes of this game. And you have a lot of your sightstone wards, a lot of this game. And so, respawning, walking the lanes. Now what do? You stick with me, good. And someone pings Elder Drake. So, it's a good idea. Elder Drake is a good idea here. And the main reason you want to do Elder Drake here is they have to respond to Yasuo. So they're going to be on this side of the map. We just pushed in this wave. We just pushed in this wave. Super duper free. And the main reason it's free right now is because Baron's not up. And Baron's respawning soon, so do this and then walk to Baron. Yeah, see, right away we walk to Baron. What that means is they cannot contest us on Baron because we have Elder Drake. And if they do, we're going to kill him. And they can't take Baron in response to our Elder Drake take because we did it at the right time where we had enough time to get here before they could kill it. And I'd start this a little bit early. This is kind of dumb of me. I should have waited an extra like 5 seconds. But this just secures the game. Once we take Baron here, even though we didn't have Smite, which we probably should have waited for, the game's done. So to highlight what I think that your problems are and things to work on. Well, one, your laning combos, double queuing, you didn't do it enough early, and then you always looked for auto attacks like you had Thunderlords. Don't do that. Just double bomb and walk away. Alright, secondarily, you should try and keep a second pink ward in your inventory so that way you can bait another gank. Third, you need to make sure you ult earlier. This is judging cooldowns and judging how much damage people can do to you. It's really not that hard. If you played up to level 30, then you have played against pretty much every champion in the game. The only problem it comes to is watching cooldowns. And that's something that a lot of people do not do, so I don't blame you for it, but it really, really is important. If you knew that Yi had Q, you'd have known that you needed to ult. And if you saw Jinx's W, you'd have known you needed to ult. Right? I'm talking about the, time they tower dove us over here slightly. Yeah. So, you didn't ult, Qs, you do not ward enough. And that is incredibly important as support. For starters, think of breadcrumb wards. Whenever you're somewhere dangerous, like over here on this side of the jungle, ward. Ward when you leave. You just face checked it, you know it's safe, but you know they're going to be here. Ward. You don't ward for Baron. You need to be focusing a lot more on Baron. Baron and setting up so your carries can split push. Mid game, you could have set up for the Yasuo, but he was doing actually really good by himself, so you didn't really need to worry about it. But you need to make sure in a normal game you set up for your carry, because that way they can get away. So warding, your double Qs, your ulting. And your last thing is you do not know where to be on the map. And that's something that you were walking down bottom, you saw the Anivia, and then you walked mid. I also told you we were going to split push bottom, so you did come to me. But you need to start predicting where people are going to be faster. Think about how I told you your item builds, right? you're thinking about your item builds in queue. This is like chess. You cannot think about the move as it's happening. You think moves ahead. So before you start walking to lane, look at where the map is. That's where you need to go. Decide before you start walking to a lane where you need to go. Alright, that's it for the recap.